My name is Linda Maddox. It's June 8th, and I am here at the Quincy Veterans Home interviewing Mr. Roger Scotty Meredith. Okay, Mr. Meredith, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks. Just a little bit of background information. Can you tell me when you joined the service, if you were drafted or enlisted?
I was 17 years old. I joined the Navy June the 16th, 1943.
Okay.
Okay.
So where were you living and when were you born?
Living in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
Okay.
And when were you born? When were you born?
I was born August the 20th, 1925.
All right. And you were in Springfield, and you enlisted.
Ma'am?
You enlisted?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Let me explain to you. It was a time the whole country was very patriotic, and I'm just a young kid, 17 years old, and I wanted to do my part, so I enlisted in the regular Navy, not the reserves, to serve a kiddie cruise. A kiddie cruise at that time was 17 to 21. You were enlisted in the regular Navy, not the reserves, the regular Navy, and I'm sure glad I did.
Really?
Okay.
So the kiddie cruise was for the younger Navy. It was for the younger Navy men, right? The kiddie cruise. So did you stay there, or did you go to a?
I went to boot camp in Great Lakes. I'll just tell you the whole history. All right.
That would be fine.
I attended boot camp at Great Lakes, Illinois. That's up north of Chicago on Lake Michigan, and went through it was a rigorous training, and when I got discharged from my boot camp, I went home for a short period of time, reported back to Great Lakes, and then they sent me out to, I want to say, the state of Virginia, Newport. I was out there, and they put me in the Seabees temporarily because I was colorblind. Well, it wasn't long. They transferred me up to Quonset Point, Rhode Island, and it was in the winter in December, colder than old darn, So I got my orders to go aboard ship, USS Palm, AN-28. It was a net tender. Now people say, well, what's a net tender? Well, it was a part of the Navy's working ship. We tended to the submarine nets in the various harbors throughout the South Pacific, and I'm a little bit ahead of myself. I went aboard the ship in Boston, Massachusetts, went by convoy to New York, on through the Panama Canal, up the West Coast to San Diego for a brief period, up to San Francisco, and then over to Pearl, and then into the South Pacific. I remember I got sunburned in Pearl. Young kid, natural thing to get sunburned. Okay, so I'm stripped naked, laying on a flying bridge way up high, had canvas around it, and I stripped off up there, laying down on a blanket. I got my butt sunburned. Oh my, big blisters on my butt, my back, and my leg. I had to use the canes to walk because my legs were so tight, the skin was so tight. Well, we'll go on. Then we went to the South Pacific. That was around Christmas time of 1943. And we went to the Fiji Islands, first stopped there, and then we went to various islands. I was at Guadalcanal. After Guadalcanal attack, we tended to nets there. I was in Bougainville. I was in Palau. I was in New Guinea. I just spent a lot of time aboard ship, and I remember my ship was a small ship. We had a complement of about 75 personnel. I was a quartermaster. I was in navigation. I was a striker when I first went aboard it. Well, in the South Pacific, I made second-class quartermaster. I was the leading quartermaster aboard my ship in navigation, and my duty, the general quarters, was to man the helm. That's the steering wheel of a ship. And we didn't see any action per se, but we were amongst it. We could hear the shelling. We did get hit once, but that's immaterial. No one was hurt. Damaged the ship somewhat. But in my experiences there, I went down to New Zealand, Australia, went to Noumea, to R&R, that's rest and recreation. Went to islands called Ulithi Group, and we recruited natives to be stevedores. And how we recruited these natives, we didn't talk their language, but we gave the men boots and give their there were women cases of Spam. Well, that was a good deal. Anything to get rid of the damn Spam, okay? It wasn't very tasty. But you know what? I've had Spam not too long ago. Fried it in a skillet at my own home with eggs. Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Try it. You'll like it.
Oh, I've had Spam.
Huh?
I've had Spam.
Yeah, it's very salty. And of course, but it was a wonderful life. I enjoyed it. I was a young kid, and I was aboard the Palm till first part of August 1946. We came back to the States. We went up to Astoria, Oregon. We decommissioned our ship, put the ship in mothballs, and I got discharged from the Navy August the 19th, 1946. And during all that time, I was aboard the USS Palm. That's quite a long time to be aboard ship. And in the South Pacific, hot, goodness sake. But it was a dungaree Navy. We were in overalls, you know, blue jeans. Kids call them blue jeans now.
Right.
They were bell bottoms, you know. They were sharp. I had good duty. I enjoyed it very much. Knew what was going on all the time because I was up on the bridge. That's the brains of the ship. And well, it was a wonderful experience. When I was overseas, I thought about becoming a funeral director. People say, why in the hell did you want to become a funeral director for? Well, to help people in a time of stress. So when I got discharged, I went in bombing school and so on and so forth. But getting back to the Navy, I wouldn't trade none of it for anything in the world. I liked it very much. As a matter of fact, I was so damn patriotic when I got discharged, I joined the reserve. Well, bingo. Korean War broke out. I'm newly married, 1949. Korean War broke out in June of 1950. President Truman put a freeze on all enlistment. I'll be damned if I didn't get my enlistment extended for a year. And I got recalled back in the Navy again. Got my orders on a Thursday, and the following Monday I was aboard a destroyer out in Seattle, Washington.
Wow.
But again, I'm not complaining. The experience I got from that made me a better man.
It's a great way to
traded
look
for
at
nothing
it.
in the world. The friendship, most of them are all dead. I'm still around. I haven't got the good things done, what the good Lord asked me to do, so He's kept me here. My woman, she was wonderful. We were married 56 years and I lost her. But so be it. The good Lord knows the best. You know what? If I had life to do all over, I'd be a preacher. But I like it. But again, going back to the Navy, I've seen a lot of things. Once I was in a typhoon. Well, the incident, the flag, Stars and Stripes, broke loose down below where you clip it onto the rope. Skipper said, Meredith, would you get up there and fasten that flag? We don't want it to strengthen out there like a terrible like that. I said, okay, Captain. So I crawled up there. Well, remember, we're in a typhoon. That ship is rocking back and forth. And we were sort of not a flat bottom boat, but it wasn't a pointed keel going down. So we rolled and go back and forth. And I'm up there, and I swore I could have touched the water. We were listing about 30 degrees, 35 degrees, left and right, and here I am up there, and I froze. I got the flag hooked on, but I froze, I couldn't get down. So they had to send somebody up to get me and help me down. And ever since then, I do not climb ladders. I wouldn't climb ladders for nobody. I don't care who they are. I'll not climb above 3 feet. No way.
Got good reason. I think you've got a good reason not to.
Yeah, because it scared the hell out of me. It really did.
So that makes me wonder, did you have any trouble with seasickness?
No. As a matter of fact, we used to have guys up on watch, and I'd be in charge up on the bridge, and we'd have guys on the port side and starboard side as lookouts, scanning the sky with binoculars. And they were seasick as hell, you know. And of course, we'd tie a bucket around them, around their neck, so they could sit there and upchuck. I never did get seasick. I got nauseated, but I never did get sick. And of course, our cook, he was sort of ornery. On rough days, he'd cook spaghetti.
Oh.
You know, Well, those guys, I swear, when they upchucked, the spaghetti was coming out their nose. Oh, you talk about, and of course, I felt sorry for them because it's bad. I felt sorry for them.
So was the cook a pretty good cook? Did you have good food on the ship?
Hmm?
Did you have good food on the ship?
Oh yeah,
Did
we
you?
had a lot of lamb.
Really?
I call it mutton. It was from New Zealand and Australia, and it was terrible. They tried to camouflage it with mint julep and crap like that. But in order to get a side of beef, we'd have to maybe take a half a dozen sides of mutton, and it's mutton. It's old, tough old sheep, and tough, smelly, stink. But you know what? I like lamb chop, but not mutton, not an old sheep. But we used to get them. We'd go around, get on the side where the plank was at, gangway, take them, go around the other side, throw that piece overboard, that mutton, and to keep the beef and the pork. Okay.
So how big was the ship you were on? You said it wasn't a pointed bottom, but how big? How many men did it hold?
We had a complement of about, as I said before, about 75 personnel.
Huh.
And of course, our ship was a working ship, and we had welders, because remember, we're taking those nets up from the bottom of the ocean and repairing those grommets and replace. Well, you had to have a welder and a torch burner, to burn the cable. It was very rewarding. I remember one time we had trying to pull up a bunch of netting. Of course, they were held down with an anchor down below. Well, this ship had two great big things that stick out on the bow, and had great big winches with steel cable, and at the very top of those things, we'd haul that up, and then the fellows would work on the net. They'd pull them up there, and cable broke. And of course, the cable came back as like a rubber band. It came back and hit a fellow in the head, cut his head right in half. Right there. That was a tragedy. Never happened. One of those things, and pulling those up, there was always a risk. But it was a working ship, and we had. The fellows were all good. I remember there's a fellow, name was Gary Lightfoot. He was half Indian. He was from Missouri, Monroe, Missouri. And I got his name in the book there at home. Then there was a fellow from Chicago by the name of Remedi, R-E-M-E-D-I. He went on to become a judge up there in Chicago, because I saw his name in the paper now and then. But again, it was a wonderful life, and I remember another time we had water, we carried our own water, and we had these big compartments. You'd have to paint them with zinc chromite on the inside to keep them from rusting, so it wouldn't contaminate our water. And I did something ornery, and I got penalized for it, so I had to put me down in that damn hole, and I got overcome with the fumes from the zinc chromite and passed out, and so they had to pull me up out of there. And then in the Ulysses Island, I remember going ashore there, and we showed movies to the natives, and like I said before, we give the men GI boots and the women cases of Spam. Well, amongst one island, there was a school teacher there. Now, we're back in the jungles, I mean jungles, And here's this little English woman back there, old and shriveled up, and she invited a couple of us into her shack for tea and some biscuits, crumpets, she called them. So here we are out in the wilderness where half of the natives are wilder than hell, and here's this woman out there, and the Ulysses Islands are French islands.
Okay.
And they spoke French. That was her tongue, and she taught school there before the war. Just stayed there. She liked it so much. But she had a tablecloth, and we were white people, we were American.
Yeah.
So certain things you remember. Mm-hmm. I remember that just like it was yesterday.
So when you were called back up for Korea, how long were you in then?
Almost a year.
Almost a year?
Yeah.
Okay. And were you on the same ship again?
No, of course, that ship was decommissioned.
Oh, that's right, right, okay.
And they put me aboard a destroyer escort, the USS Brennan, DE 445, and that was good duty.
Was it?
And we patrolled up between San Francisco to Prince Rupert. We'd go inland through the inland water, and then we'd get up to Prince Rupert and go way out to sea, a couple hundred miles, and we ran hot. By that I mean we ran with sonar. We were looking for submarines, but luckily we didn't have it. The Japanese were off the coast of Warship. Our job was to protect the perimeter Navy Yard, which is a big yard, and the San Francisco Navy Yard.
Okay.
So that's what our job was. It was good duty. I was sort of a sad sack because I just got married and
well, it sounds like
had the pleasure of a woman.
Yeah. It sounds like you saw an awful lot of the world. It sounds like you saw an awful lot of the world when you were...
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Not many sailors went through the Panama Canal like I did. Now, it was a pleasure. I remember when we went through the Panama Canal, you could buy monkeys for $5, you know, pet monkeys. And some of the guys did, but we had to get rid of them, of course. You couldn't have a monkey.
Yeah.
And we bought bananas, and we bought stocks of bananas. I mean the whole stock for 10 cents because they couldn't ship the bananas north because of the submarine.
Oh.
There was because it would sink those ships carrying cargo. So everybody bought bananas. You know, you buy a whole stock of bananas, and hell, you'd have 50 to 100 bananas on there. Well, no way could you eat them all.
Yeah.
And just like in the South Pacific, a reefer ship came by. So the cap had us signal them, and they were carrying ice cream. Well, we pulled alongside, and we all got ice cream. Now, when I say we got ice cream, we got 3 gallons of ice cream. And every sailor, we all ate ice cream because that was ice cream. Never had ice cream in South Pacific. We all ate ice cream till it was coming out our ears.
Yeah.
And then throw the rest overboard.
Huh.
Then the captain said you can't throw it overboard, the submarine, so we couldn't do that. So.
Huh.
But we finally got rid of it. Then I remember when we were in Guadalcanal, we tied up there, and our mailman, which was our yeoman, he wanted a Jeep to go pick up the mail. Well, we couldn't get no Jeep. We were on a little small ship, you know. We finagled one. We borrowed one. I'll say borrowed. But we didn't borrow. We actually stole the damn Jeep from the Marines, which was fine and dandy. Got it back, lowered the boom, lowered it down to the lower hole, painted it navy gray, and painted on USS Palm AN-28, and we had a mail vehicle all during the war, tied up down below.
Uh-huh.
Now the skipper did that. He wanted a mail car,
Really?
so he did.
So did you have any trouble getting mail?
Oh no, no.
But you just got it when you went to a port?
Well, you pick up mail, they transfer mail ahead of your ship,
Oh,
and
okay.
mail would be there, okay, for your ship. Okay. That's the way they handle the mail.
Okay.
We were at a strange thing. We were tied up in Tulagi. On one side of this bay was room for ships. On the opposite side of Tulagi was a PT base and a PBY airplane base. Well, it so happened that a friend of mine who was the manager of Holiday Inn in Springfield, Lacey Brooks, was on Tulagi on a PT boat at the exact time I was there on the opposite side. And he was on the ship that rescued John F. Kennedy.
Wow.
PT cruiser that rescued John F. Kennedy. So you heard the phrase, "It's a small world." It sure is. Sure. And Lacey and I became good friends. I had a home up in northern Wisconsin. He and his wife came up to my house. He too, he's passed away. So there's always something comes up about some place where you've been. And that happens as you get older. You know, it really does. I wouldn't trade my experiences in the Navy for nothing in the world. I wouldn't want to do it again. No, I'll take that back. If worse got to worse, and they could use me, an old man like me, for something, I sure as hell go.
Would you?
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Excuse me.
Sure. That's okay. Well, can you think of anything else can you think of anything else you want to tell me about your service? You said you had friends that you kind of kept up with, and
I kept up for a while, but there's a guy out in Wyoming I corresponded with, and there's a bunch of guys my age and older who were aboard net tenders during World War II. And there's several net tenders, and it's called a Net Tenders Association, and they meet once a year.
Really?
At various places over the United States. I've never been able physically to go, and if I wasn't able, my wife was in a nursing home for quite some time, so I wouldn't go on a venture like that without my woman.
Right.
So I never did go, but I corresponded. But they still, personnel aboard the ships, aboard net tenders, they formed an association, and there's several net tenders in that.
Wow.
The net tenders were all named after trees. The USS Oak, USS Aspen, all named after trees. And mine was the USS Palm,
Yeah.
AN-28.
Huh.
And of course we were proud sailors. We were a working ship, like minesweepers. A minesweeper and a net tender are about the same size, about the same complement of personnel, and they're called the working ships of the Navy. And you got to have working ships. You can't have fighting ships without a working ship.
Right. Well, I really appreciate the time you spent talking to me.
You know what, young lady? It's been a pleasure.
Well, good.